fantasy baseball draft. So this weekend and later in the week, with the season upcoming and starting April 1st. But here's a few batters that I think are going to be bust this season. The first guy is Giancarlo Stanton of the New York Yankees. So every season it seems like Stanton, he's banged up or injured and misses months or pretty much the whole season. And last season, once again, he got hurt with Stanton. He was on a torrid pace the first couple weeks of the season till he went down, and now he's not even going to play any outfield at all this season. He's going to be a pure DH for the Yankees, and that says something to me that Stanton, he's still not 100%. He really can't go out there and run the bases, and he's just going to be a DH for this Yankee team. And last season, in only 76 at-bats for Stanton, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, 250 batting average, a 387 on base, and 12 runs scored. So Stanton, when he plays, obviously the power numbers are going to be big. The RBIs are going to be up there. And he's going to be a decent batting average guy. And this season, they're ranking him 82nd coming into fantasy drafts. So you figure the 7th or 8th round of most fantasy drafts he's going right now. And they're projecting him 25 home runs, 71 RBIs, a 260 batting average, with a 366 on base and 70 runs scored in 444 at-bats. So they're pretty much saying Stanton's going to play 110 ball games this season. And I don't know if he'll even do that. The last couple seasons, it's been just a train wreck for Stanton. And he still has, I think, 8 years left on his contract. So right now, it's tough to get Stanton in fantasy drafts and, rely on him to put up big numbers and stay healthy. But if he could, he's going to be a monster. But I just don't see it. He's not going to put up big numbers, and he's going to be a bust this season. Once again, is Stanton. The second hit is Wil Myers of the San Diego Padres. So Wil Myers last season, what a season it was for Myers. And it was one of his better seasons in a long time since his Tampa Bay Ray days for Myers last year. But this year, I don't think he's going to have as big as a season here is Myers for this Padre team. Last season, like I said, 15 home runs, 40 RBIs, a 288 batting average, a 353 on base, and 34 runs scored in 200 at-bats. So Wil Myers, the batting average was high for his standards. Usually he's a 230, 240 hitter. But last season to hit 288 is a big number, but it's only a 2-month sample size. And I just don't see him hitting that many homers as well. For this season, they're projecting a big year once again. 28 home runs, 78 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, a 269 batting average, a 338 on-base percentage, and 72 runs for Myers. And Myers, like Stanton, he's another guy who has an injury history. But this season, I just don't see a high batting average. I think he'll be in the 240s, 250s, and probably 20, 25 home runs, which is decent. But home runs is pretty easy to find in fantasy leagues nowadays. And I just don't see Wil Myers putting up the big numbers. And people, they're going to take him in the 8th and 9th round of most fantasy drafts, which is a decent area to get him. But I just don't think he's going to have a big season this year. And I think he could be considered a bust, is Wil Myers. So he's another bust at the hitting position this year. The next guy is Nelson Cruz of the Minnesota Twins. And Nelson Cruz, 43 years old, he's still doing it. He's the boomstick Nelly Cruz. In the last couple seasons, he's hit 40 home runs or more. But obviously last season, he couldn't do that as Cruz in the shortened season. But this year, we'll see what he could do. But I think this is the season he finally breaks down, is Nelly Cruz. And he's not going to put up the big numbers. He's not going to play every day, even though obviously he's a DH for the Minnesota Twins this season, is Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz last season, 16 home runs, 33 RBIs, a 303 batting average, a 397 on-base percentage, and 33 runs in 185 at-bats. And Nelly Cruz, when is he going to slow down? But I think this is the season he finally slows down. Right now, he's going about 6th or 7th round in fantasy drafts. But the only thing with him, he only qualifies at utility because he's a pure DH. And this season, they're still projecting him 37 home runs, 97 RBIs, a 297 batting average, and a 385 on-base percentage. So the 43-year-old Cruz, I just don't think he's going to put up the numbers. I think this is the season he finally hits the wall. I hope not, but I just see it here. He's up there in age, and another season here would for Cruz. I just think it's finally time he hits the wall. But what a great career Cruz has had, and he's in the 400 home runners club. The next hitter that's going to be a bust this season's Luke Voit of the New York Yankees. So Luke Voit, he led the major leagues last season with 22 home runs in the 60-game season, 52 RBIs. He had 277 batting average, a 338 on base, and 41 runs scored. So Luke Voit, his batting average was way over par, in my opinion. He's only going to be a 240, 250 hitter, I think, this season. And this season, they're projecting him a crazy year. 40 home runs, 97 RBIs, a 266 batting average with a 345 on base at the 40 home runs. I know a lot of guys, they're projecting 40 home runs this season, 4 or 5 guys. But I don't see Voit getting to that. I think this season pitchers have adjusted, and Voit, they just can't throw that fastball down the pipe to him. They got to go one more break and stuff. Voit, it was a great season last year, but it was only a 2-month span, and it definitely could have been a fluke as well. But Luke Voit, he's going about 57th overall in fantasy drafts, but he's a player going too high, in my opinion, when there's better options out there that are going after him. Like Matt Olson is out there, Matt Chapman, Mike Moustakas, I think, is a better ball player than him, Castellanos. So right now, Luke Voit, he's up there in the rankings. And yeah, sure, he led the league in home runs last season, but I just don't see him repeating it once again this year, is Luke Voit. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but I think he's going to be a bust this season, considering where he's going in fantasy drafts and coming off of last season. And the 5th and final bust this season is Alberto Mondesi of the Kansas City Royals. So Mondesi, he's got a high ranking going into the season, going 2nd to 3rd round in most fantasy drafts he's been going. Last season, 6 home runs, 22 RBIs, 24 stolen bases, a 256 batting average, and a 294 on base. So this guy, he don't really get on base. That's a very low on base percentage with the 256 batting average. And this season, they're projecting Mondesi to go 14 home runs, 61 RBIs, 52 stolen bases, a 260 batting average, and once again, a low on base percentage at 293. 52 stolen bases is a huge number, but it's definitely possible, I think, for Mondesi that he stole 24 in 2 months, but still, I think they're overvaluing stolen bases a lot this season in fantasy. I know there's only a few great base stealers left because it's a lost start in the majors, but I'm not going to pay a big price in my draft and get Mondesi when there's guys like Bregman, Anthony Rendon, Ozzie Albies, George Springer, Jose Abreu, Nolan Arenado, Ozuna, Paul Goldschmidt, Vlad Guerrero, Aaron Judge, Pete Alonso, Javier Baez, guys going way after him in fantasy drafts that I'd rather have. And where he's going in drafts, I think he's going to be a bust. It's Mondesi. The stolen bases are great and all, but that's only one category he's really going to give fantasy owners. So that's a few batters that I think are going to be busts here entering the 2021 season.